It's McCole, that radio TV. We are live with the cast of a brand new STV comedy called Dirty Water, which will premiere live, I believe, on March the 1st on the STV player. It's an amazing lineup of comedians and actors that I'm familiar with, or some of them have even been in the show before. We've got one person who has been in the show before, is Kirsty Strain, who is here.
Hello.
Hello, Kirsty. Welcome back. I think it was right in the middle of lockdown that I last seen you, so good to see you back again. We've got John Stuart, and Joe Cassidy as well. Thanks, guys. It's great to have you on the show. I've only seen the trailer for Dirty Water, but I'm already intrigued. And yeah, I suppose just go back to maybe start with yourself, John, and just how it all came about. From Edinburgh Fringe show and everything. Where did it begin?
Well, I initially started as a play. Actually, the actual concept was a TV idea that I had at film school. But what happened was that's how I actually met Joe. We tested an extract from it at a networking event called Right Camera Action, and it went down really well. And when I seen how the live audience reacted to it, I knew I could write it as a play. So that's when I decided to write a theatre script. And that's when me and Joe started on the journey back in 2012. I think the first show was June 2012 in Cottiers. And that was a year before we went to the Fringe. And it took us quite a good bit of fundraising to get there, didn't it, Joe?
It didn't half, aye. We done quite a few things to raise money. One of them, first of all, I'd like to say, Mark, when I started out this way, John, I had a full head of hair and a six-pack. and as you can see now, I've no hair, and I've actually got a 12-pack. And they used to call me Beefcake Joe back then, but now they call me Eat the Cake Joe. So it's been quite a long journey and a change of physique for me. But no, when we first started, we tried to raise money, and we'd various, we'd actually, I'd say the biggest fundraise we'd done, we decided to do the full Monty in a bowling club. But we still kept our dignity, but we were surprised the amount of tickets we sold. And it raised us quite a good bit of money to get us to Edinburgh for the Fringe. We did keep our dignity, but we'd made plenty of fans that night for some reason. And that was one fundraiser, and then we'd done loads of other stuff to try and raise money and approach people, which wasn't easy to get the money to go, but we got there in the end, and that's how we managed to get to the Fringe, and we'd done the full month at the Fringe.
A full month at the Fringe, that sounds difficult. I think I've done 3 nights at the Fringe, and like even just as a punter, 3 days at the Fringe can be a lot. So what I'm quite interested about is what's the writing process? How's that different from writing for a play to writing for a TV show? I can't hear John.
No. Internet.
See, there is a bit of a delay, so I was just giving him a time to respond, but I think it's. I think it might be an internet issue. What to do is, John, maybe just log out and back in again. I think that's probably the best thing to do just now. So, Kirsty, when did you get involved?
A few years ago. I think it was probably about 2 years, maybe even more than, probably around 2 years before we ended up actually filming it, because John spoke to me about it. I think it was actually just before lockdown. He asked if I would be interested in being involved, and he sent me the scripts, and he'd actually written a lot more episodes than we ended up filming, and we all got together as a sort of ensemble cast and had a table read, a day of going through everything, and that was a way of helping John to develop scripts further and just talk through things at that stage. And then obviously I think the lockdown and everything that happened, I think that kind of stalled the process slightly. So I just kept in touch with John from that point on, and he kept me updated on what was happening in terms of getting it to the point where we were going to shoot it. And then that ended up happening. Oh God, it's actually been just over it was a year ago in August that we filmed it, I'm sure, if I've got that right. Have I got that right, or am I losing?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
No, you've got that right, yeah.
With the whole pandemic and everything else, everything's like last year to me. Like the last 3 years, it's like last year. That happened last year. Then I'm like, no, that happened 2 years ago. That happened 3 years ago. I'm losing time. But yeah, so I think I was attached for about 2 years before we actually got to shoot it. And just being a part of the development process from that point on, because Caitlin's character didn't exist in the stage play. That was a new development that I guess John's better placed to talk about. But I think from what he told me about that, it was a case of bringing in that female character to balance out the boys a little bit, which I think that worked quite well.
Well, what about yourself, Joe? How did you?
Well, as John told you, I was part of it was like a networking group for actors and writers and directors, and I used to go along, and what you done was you read, say, 6 pages of a script that somebody submitted, and you would rehearse it, and then you would act it out in front of the 200 people or whoever was there at the time. And I'd done quite a few of these. It was on every month in the CCA in Sauchiehall Street, the Centre for Contemporary Arts in Sauchiehall Street, and unknown to me, John had seen me performing the month before, and he told the director, I want this. Well, I was baldy. I was making it out here 10 years ago. I was baldy then as well. And he says, I want that wee baldy guy who was acting last week. He didn't even really know my name. He said to play this part in this scene that he'd written. And it was like 6 or 8 pages. And I came in and I was only going to observe that night. I wasn't even going to perform. And the guy came over, and the director, and he says, look, I think this would be good for you if you want to read it. Didn't he tell me exactly? John had told him that he wanted me to perform it. But anyway, we did. And then right after it, John came over to me and he says, Joe, look, I'm the guy that wrote this. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I said, this is really funny and all that. And he says, look, I think I could do this as a play. Would you read the script? And I was like, oh, great. You know, I'd done a few short films and appeared in other films and stuff. And I was like, certainly. I says, that'd be great. And when he gave us a script, we found out we came from the same area as well, which was pretty strange. And then when I read the script, I says, look, we've got to do this no matter what. And that's how the journey started for there. And that was it, really. We just decided to try and look for theatres to put it on.
John's back. John is back with us.
Yeah. Oh! Sorry about that. John. I know after me slagging Joe as well, I was like, he's a nightmare when he's
yeah, I'm still online.
I did phone earlier to John, and John was round at Joe's to make sure that he knew how to work the computer. But yeah, Joe's did better than John so far. But John, we're just talking about the process from getting it from the Edinburgh Fringe and turning it into a play and all that kind of stuff. So what was the moment? When did you find out that the STV was going to make it into a 3-parter? And what was the feeling when you finally...
That was quite a bit of a journey to get there, because it wasn't actually STV who initially made it. We made it independently.
Wow.
So yeah, what had happened was, because I really thought Dirty Water was finished with, because our aim was to try and get it into the big theatres. And after, I think it was like 4 years of touring, the Kings, a few other big theatres were interested in taking it. Specifically, Kings had came to see it, and they really liked it. And told us, look, because the show at that point didn't have a marketing edge, you would need to have some named actors to obviously help sell it if we were going to have a deal with them, which I totally understood, and it was fair enough, because, I mean, we were only doing 150, 200s, the odd occasion a 300-seater, so the Kings is a 1,700-seater, so it's quite a big jump. But we all said we would stick together, and, you know, we'd been doing it for 4 or 5 years at that point, so
What famous actor
just
would you
kinda
get
was
to
like,
play
ah.
yourself? Where would you get to play yourself if you both audition? I mean, it's obviously to stick together and do it this way, but you're like, right, okay, who will I get? Who would you like to? We'll start with you, Joe. Who would you get to play yourself?
Well, there's quite a lot of actors I like. Obviously, I like Al Pacino and all that, but I was always a big fan, and I remember, I'll tell you this is true, Mark. One night we done the show in Oran Moor, and they were talking about actors, and I says, God, I loved Rod Stagger. And see some of the people in the play, they were like, who's Rod Stagger? So that shows you how old I am. If you remember Rod Stagger, he was in the Waterfront with Marlon Brando, and he played the Boston Strangler and all that, but he played about 8 different characters. And I remember when I was younger watching that, and it was the way he played all these different characters which made him dead interesting. And he was quite a big actor at the time, obviously, Rod Stagger, but a lot of people, when I mentioned him, some of them looked at me and went, who's he? So probably him, but he's passed away now, so he might not be able to play.
Might not be available at the moment. Yeah.
So someone at the current. Wow, that's a hard one.
We'll come back to you then, Kirsty. Do you know who would you want to play you?
Oh, this is a big question. Like, does it have to be somebody from now?
Well, I mean, Joe just picked somebody that's passed away, so we're not actually going to sign the contracts or anything.
Like, I think, being the massive Rocky fan that I am, I'd love if a young Talia Shire could come along and give it a good go, and we'd be interesting to see if she got the accent right. I can't get the accent right myself sometimes. So.
Well, do you feel like you've got to do something with your accent when you're performing on something that is maybe going to be watched by people outside of Scotland, or do you just try not to let that bother you?
I think it depends on the project and like what. For me, it's like I've always had that thing because I work as an accent and dialect coach as well, so that's always a thing for me. Where's the balance here, right? I prefer something like Dirty Water where there's no restriction and it can be as real as it's meant to be. As authentic as it's meant to be. Oftentimes, I have been on productions where I've been asked to balance it. I've even had feedback that you're too Scottish, or I've had to actually go in and dub my own performance afterwards because the accent is too strong for an American audience. And for me personally, getting that balance, I prefer when it's just allowed to be as truthful and real as that's where the character's from, that's the way they talk. So when you get these other productions where there's still that feedback about balancing the accent, it's a fine, even for me as an accent and dialect coach, and when I work with other actors in that area, it's always a line that I'm trying to balance to be making sure that I'm in the realm of what's genuine and what's authentic and what's meant to be, so that it's not getting lost or it's not disappearing and it's not misrepresenting where a particular character's from.
Exactly, and every character's different as well, so even, not everybody speaks, some people from the same scheme can have a different accent as well. So I suppose it does depend on the character. Joe, you've got a couple of accents as well, haven't you?
Yes, I have, aye.
New York, is it you can do?
Sure, kid, yeah, what do you want me to do? Come on, see me. Kirsty is going to... Kirsty's going to...
You want to come and get some lessons?
Exactly, that's what I was going to say there. Kirsty could give me some lessons, but you caught me in my heels there. I've done a few accents, but usually I do prefer just what Kirsty says. It gives you the freedom sometimes, because sometimes you're an actor, you're concentrating on the accent quite a lot, and you have to sort of pick up certain words which... like sidewalk instead of pavement and all these kind of things help the accent. But that's good about Dirty Water. It is totally not a lot of Scottish in it, and let's hope people do understand it. It's still quite clear to understand them, if you know what I mean. But we've still kept our own originality and our own original Glasgow accent, which is good.
Well, that's it. You've got but I seen Billy Kirkwood's in the trailer, and he's obviously got. He's got a sort of, because I'm Ayrshire as well, so it's an Ayrshire kind of thing, which is just it's not as broad, but it's Billy's. I would think Billy's quite easy to understand. But I'm not an American audience, I suppose, though. But so Billy's absolutely superb. We've had him in the show as well before. You see the baddie. Did I pick that up right?
He's kind of our rival.
Right.
There's a team. He's the rival team, or the leader of the rival team, kind of
So
thing.
it's up to the audience to decide who the bad guy is, or who the good
Well,
guy is.
yes.
Rivals. Okay.
Yes,
Don't
we're
want any
kinda-
spoilers.
No, I don't want to spoil it really, but
Yeah.
there's a bit of rivalry between us, and he is kind of the bad guy, sort of. Like you call him the bad guy, but he's not really. But at the same time, they kind of do things that's a wee bit underhand that we don't like.
This one is all right. I'm streaming myself there. That was you. I was trying to put the trailer up. So this is the trailer for the video on YouTube. So the trailer is sorry, it's the wrong one. So the trailer. How do you decide to do a trailer? Because even with my sort of limited editing expertise, we'll maybe do like a live show, or maybe a live performance show of yours, and just try to find the little clips. How do you decide who does it? Is there someone specifically that does that job, or do a few of you have a chat about it?
Well, I had absolutely no input on it for whatever, but when I seen it, I really liked it. And there were certain parts when John got it made, they says, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Oh, I think it looks brilliant." So it was mainly Charlie the director, Charlie Francis, the director, created the trailer, and I think John had some input what he wanted in it, or what he thought should be in it. And I think they just collaborated together to make it up. I mean, I never had any input. I don't think Kirsty had either.
No.
No.
I think it mostly came from Charlie and John and that side of the production team putting the trailer together. But yeah, it's a tricky thing because there's little nuggets in every single episode, a little brilliant moments, and it's like, how do you tease out the absolute gems? There's loads of gems to actually be seen in the episodes, even out with what's in the trailer. So I imagine that would have been a tough job to kind of choose between all the great little nuggets from each episode to kind of put together.
Absolutely, because you've all got, in comedy, of course, the context is very important. So the funniest part is built up as part of the story. So it's just hard to introduce it. But we're going to introduce it right now to everybody who's probably, I'd imagine, most people watching haven't seen it yet. So hello, Paul is in the house. Hello, Paul. Hello, Greg. Hello, Ali. Bob O'Donnell is an absolute hero. Pass it on, says Craig McKenzie.
Yes, he absolutely is.
And I prefer accents, says Greg. If I want to hear RP, I'll listen to the BBC. I'm all for the accents as well, 100%. Whether that's film, TV, music as well. I like a real accent, and hip hop. I know. But let's watch the trailer, guys. Anyone that's tuned in, please leave us a wee comment and let us know what you make it. And
I don't know where I went wrong with you lot. I give you a well-paying, full-time job where you are treated with respect.
Is it about Frank getting the sack?
Shut up, Crawford!
I want to work in that team that never sleeps.
Fag break.
Get up, you lazy bastard.
You've no idea how many times I've had to take the heat for the stunts you lot of Paul.
I am not giving you my number.
The last thing we need is you spreading your genital what?
Dude, I need your advice.
I'm not behind the bar.
You're still a barman.
A priest does not take confessional unless he's in the booth.
A man is dead.
There's no pulse.
It's got one in scratch cap.
This is our ticket out of cleaning stairs.
It's stealing joke.
I want the four of you down at the station at 4 p.m. for an official statement.
Town club.
That's why this team's a shambles.
You've proper done us over.
Me? And I'm here to sort this mess out.
One more thing.
A, B, C.
Always.
Are you in fact Carol Kirkwood falling on extremely hard times?
B.
What you lot up to?
It's a really good question if you know what I mean.
Cleaning.
Fish deliberately, you call it radio, and that was brilliant. The new trailer for Dirty Water, out on the 1st of March on STV Player. And my first question is did you say geese a fag in Polish?
In French.
In French, aye.
Yeah, because the policeman the policeman that's in it is actually French, so it's like to kind of show this other side of Caitlin that she's not actually just this daft cleaner. Like, she's quite switched on, and there's just little things that she does that like are really surprising. Like, wait, she can speak French? What's going on? So it's just little things like that. But that was really fun, that whole bit. I don't want to give too much away, but we kind of got a little bit of leeway with that to kind of play around with different takes to kind of see how we bounced off each other. And I think Bob's was the most like hilarious. Like, everyone was cracking up because he can sometimes do these little improvs that are just, his ad libs are hilarious. And I think his interrogation scene, you need to watch that episode just for his interrogation scene alone, is just, yeah, he's just hilarious. He's brilliant.
Joe, is there the space for improvisation? Was that always a part? Was that always thought of when before he's made it, that he's wanted to give actors space for that?
Well, there wasn't really a lot of time for it, but it's something I think like Charlie, John, and obviously me, Kirsty, Bob, and we'd have loved to have some time to improvise and create something. And at that day, as Kirsty says, that there was an opportunity for it. So Charlie, with a bit of time, so Charlie, the director, let everybody have a bit of free flow. And it was really good. Obviously, Bob really came out, but as Kirsty says, without giving too much away, his improv was amazing. Brought the house down, sort of thing. And that was obviously just the spur of the moment on the day. And so it just shows you what can happen. It wasn't even in the script, part of that. We wish we had more time to do that, I guess, but we never really. So we kind of stuck to the script quite a lot to try and run through, because it was quite long days and stuff. But which was a pity, because we'd done bits and bobs, but not as much as we probably would have liked to, you know.
Absolutely.
No, I think it was really only on that day that was the one opportunity there was. But I think at the same time, John's writing, you know, it's really quite tightly done, that you don't really want to mess with it too much. I mean, that was an opportunity in that particular scene that kind of allowed room for that. But I think elsewhere, it was so kind of well, kind of finely tuned that it had, the comedy's a bit like that. It's got a rhythm. So if you move out of that rhythm too much, it doesn't quite tie together. So there's kind of an artistry to that in terms of like keeping to the script, just because of where the beats are and where the punchlines are, and just like the rhythm and the tone of the whole thing. That meant that we didn't have a lot of room to kind of move around. But you know, that was a good thing in a sense for a lot of it.
So we're getting this right in saying that the majority of the actors had been in the plays beforehand, and then like yourself, Kirsty, was a new part that was written into it. What was it like to work? What was it like to work with these guys? I'm assuming that you've crossed paths with some of the actors before.
Yeah, some of them I have, yeah, but I mean, it was mainly John that I knew. I had met John through an initiative at the Tron, which was Tron 100 that was bringing creatives together, putting performances together and workshops together. So that's how I came to know John. But the main guys, Joe and Bob, I'd never worked with before. So it was great to come into that space with them who had all that history together and be made so welcome and put at ease, like right away, just feeling like I was part of the team. And like that group dynamic kind of happened really quickly. We actually got together to do some rehearsals before filming actually began, and that was a really useful way of bonding with each other, because Leah as well, I had never met or worked with Leah before, so getting to work with her. Obviously Karen, that came in on an episode, Karen Barkey, I'd met her before and I knew her quite well, and I had worked with her on some things before. So but the main ensemble cast were some new faces to me, really.
Sorry, Joe, I know you disappeared there for a second, but yeah, we're just talking about because most of the cast already knew each other, and then Kirsty joined in. She was saying it was a nice, welcoming bunch. And I want to ask you, what is the best Scottish comedy of all time?
Well, I think everybody thinks it's the same, don't they? Still game, really, isn't it? It's been so iconic, so good. The stories are always versatile. Even though they're two old guys, it's like two teenagers, isn't it? Now they can just they get away with murder, basically, don't they? I would say that. I would probably say, for me anyway, probably still game.
Kirsty?
Oh, I mean, it's a tricky thing because I know so many of these people that work in Scottish comedy, and I've worked in Scottish comedy. If I don't say Burleston, I'm getting lynched. But I mean, I can maybe go far back. I mean, if you look at how Scottish comedy's kind of evolved, like if you go right back to the stuff I like, way back to like City Lights and stuff like that. Like,
oh wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm showing my age. Should go right back to my childhood, but just how comedy's evolved, and it depends on what we've had a lot of good stuff come out of comedy. I mean, Billy Connolly's one of the greatest things to come out of Scottish comedy ever. That's a legend right there. So, it's evolved beautifully over the years, and I think it's kind of nice to see where it might go next.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a comment from Bonnie. Hi, the Duchess, late arrival. Bonnie's actually does comedy herself, and she's I'll give a shout out to Bonnie's International Women's Day comedy thing in Hoyk with the legendary Viv G, Amelia Baylor, and loads of other good people. So that's on the Sunday, the 5th of March. Comedy panel discussion, women only, food and refreshments. If you're in Hoyk on Sunday, 5th of March, go and check it out. And with the who else commented there? Sorry, there was another comment. When I was a young, City Lights was huge. City Lights is, do you know what? I'd forgotten all about that, but I remember being like a child watching that and thinking it was great. And I watched episode 1 last year, it just brought back so many memories. Like he wanted to be a writer and stuff like that, and it's still good. It's still good. I recommend it. I couldn't remember much about it, but it's brilliant. Greg saying, chewing the fat, the ice cream van scene is Greg's favourite Scottish comedy moment. Yeah. And looking forward to the show from the Begg family, says Craig. And what else are you working on just now? Kirsty, you're always busy. It's hard to keep up with what you're up to.
I'm always busy. Well, no, I've been doing a lot more in terms of obviously I work quite a lot as a voice coach and accent and dialect coach and things like that. So that keeps me busy in the meantime, and I'm still developing my own short film script, which I'm kind of now looking at potentially expanding it and developing it into a feature. So I'm looking to do that. It's a black comedy, so it's kind of keeping to that comedy experience a wee bit. So I'm looking at how I can potentially get that made, even if I only make the short film version as a proof of concept for a feature. That's kind of my plan and my angle for that. And I've been talking about it for quite a while now, so I really need to get my finger in and get it done. So I'm wanting to put some time and effort into making that and getting it done.
Amazing. Joe, anything else on the horizon?
Well, see everything Kirsty's doing there, that makes me feel extremely lazy. Because I'm not doing that much, I'm not doing anything right now. Been concentrating on getting this kind of moving, whatever. But I've not really got anything in the pipeline. The last thing I done was I had a part in the Irving Welsh called Crime.
Oh, brilliant.
I did a small part in that, the first season. That was the last thing I've done apart from that. I'm trying to think if I did. Oh, sorry, I done an advert for North Lanarkshire Council as well. I've done that, which is for in-house. I forgot I actually done that. That was a few months ago, though. It's about getting back to work and retraining. That's about it.
See, the Crime, I've still not watched Crime yet because it's on BritBox, isn't it? Which is the only streaming thing I've not got. And it's like, how many things do you need? You know what I've got? I think I've got Amazon, Netflix, another one. Now TV.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. There's just so many streaming services now, and then the add-ons kill me. It's like, oh, you're signed up to this, but if you want that show, you need to pay for Paramount Plus, and then you need to pay for that, and then so the add-ons absolutely kill me. And there's so many now.
Yeah, it's wild as well. But I was nearly an extra on the Irving Welsh crime one. I just couldn't do it, bad timing. But I've done Outlander, and another thing. It was a rom-com or something like that. But yeah, it was. I think the extra work is. I seen two sides of that coin. One was really easy, and one was really hard. And it was the same. You get the same wage regardless, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So
you aspire to be a actor then?
No, not at all, mate. Not at all. Just a complete lazy bastard. And extra money.
Well.
So I was quite happy to sit in the corner and just do my emails and listen to my audiobooks, and I was just like, don't pick me. But if your face looks like don't pick me too much, they pick you. And,
That's true.
That's the trick. So I there's enough. My face is about enough. I don't actually care about being on the telly that much or anything like that. You'll find me on the internet as it is. You know what I mean? But I thought it was just a good experience to kind of see, because obviously I do a little bit of writing and sort of making stuff in a small scale. It's whether that's skits or music videos. So it's just great to kind of see sort of how a bigger production works, and what all the what we were talking about, those long days. But of course, there's not much time for improv because you're paying everybody by there. You've got a small budget. And you're just trying to get as much done as possible, and it's impressive to see. I mean, how big was the production? Is it altogether for putting Dirty Water?
Well, it was as big as it was pretty big, but we done it quite in a tight time scale, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And it was great with some really. We've got to be thankful for the cast and crew we had to be on board, because everybody just pulled together. We're really dead fortunate. Everybody just worked together and we all got on quite well. It was excellent. That was probably really made the show. Got it.
I think just even the origin story of the whole thing, of how this started and how it came about, starting off as a stage play and going for the length of time that it did as a stage play and be developed and to be made independently and to be independently financed, and how they were able to do that, to be able to make 3 episodes of a pilot for 3 episodes with the budget that they did, to get the cast and the crew that they did. This was because of the spirit of the project itself and how much everybody believed in it. To me, it really has that kind of underdog story to it a wee bit, and the fact that it's at this point now, it really, really deserves an audience. It really, really does, with the spirit that it's been made. It's just grown and grown and grown, and it's grown through, like, say, Joe, you and John, I think especially, like, your tenacity with it to just keep driving it forward and keep keeping it growing and with the belief and the determination that he's had to make it. It's unheard of. It's unheard of to make something like this and independently financing something like this and get it to this point and then get it a platform to be seen. It just doesn't normally work this way. So it's kind of coming at it from a completely different direction. So,
and for it to go to the next level, it requires everyone that does watch it to tell their pals about it. What can they do? What can they do to support it? Is make sure you watch it on March the 1st. Tell your pals about it. And I'm going to put the links for the social media links as well, so that you can support it that way. As
John said earlier, I don't know if somebody's pulled John's plug out or what, wherever he is. Yeah. Anyway, he's a big tea break, isn't he?
I know. I think he's apologised. He's got an issue. I think he's had a tough day.
I know that.
I think his setup seems to be causing problems, so it's fine.
We'll throw him a bit of slack, eh?
We'll get benefit to do it there.
See, when as John says earlier, when it started off as a play, there was a lot of big theatres quite interested in putting it on. And at that time, it was the reason for recasting. It wasn't because of any of the actors in it. It was just because they needed a name to push it over the line to fill bigger theatres. And that's one thing I could say about John, really, that he stuck by everybody to get this where it is, and everybody stuck by him. So, as Kirsty says, it is quite a good story, because to hang in there and to get to this stage, and it's very, very. We're fortunate, but at the same time, it's a lot of hard work, especially.
Yeah,
for
that's
John.
why that's why I just assumed that it was an STV production. That's why I got it wrong right at the start during the show, because it's unheard of. The only thing, I first heard about it was I know James and Jason who were involved in production. I don't know exactly what their role was, but I know them, and that's how I think I ended up hearing about it.
Yeah. And guys, Jason was actually through the Fringe. When we done the Fringe, he done all the techie, the lights, the sound and stuff, the music. And that's how we knew Jason way back then, and obviously still kept in touch with him over all the time when we done a tour. After the Fringe, we done a tour all over Scotland with it. And that's when it generated a lot of interest, like the Kings, the Pavilion, all these people came to see it, liked it, but it just never happened. And then when we got to this stage, we were just about to start filming, and then COVID kicked in. And we thought, oh no, this is unbelievable, because everyone was prepared to go then, and obviously we sit back a bit. And we thought this isn't really going to happen, because we had the money was raised by that time, and then we thought the money might get taken away, and then obviously the money still came in there, so we're very fortunate. And then what happened then, me and John, we went to Cannes. It's called McCole. It's similar to the film festival, except it's a TV festival. And I'll tell you the story. This is no relevant to the actual play or the TV series. When we arrived there, now usually when I go away for the weekend or holidays, it's always 2 single beds, right? As soon as we arrive there, the guy shows us into a room and there's a big double bed. And I goes back down and says to the concierge, I says, look, it's a double bed in here. We got an extra bed. And he went, are you not family? And I went, no. I said, well, no. He says, we need another bed in the room. Anyway, that's just besides the point. But we met a lot of people. That was just an added wee story into the adventure we had in Cannes, because we met loads of people. And we had quite a few meetings set up with other TV companies and stuff like that. And they all went really well. And a lot of them really liked Dirty Water. Anyway, the point I was trying to get, that kind of helped us. But we'd met STV before we went there. But when we come back, STV was more determined to meet us again, which was a good sign. And with more to offer, if that makes sense, to them, telling them there was a bigger interest in it and stuff like that. But anyway, that mad wee story. And John doesn't snore, so it was all right. I was fine. I had a good night's sleep. It was okay.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been brilliant talking to you, and I'm looking forward to March the 1st to seeing it all for myself. So March the 1st, I'll put a link in the comments for you to add on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook for Dirty Water. Good luck with the show, and I'll maybe speak to you after it's out there.
Brilliant. Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And anyone's tuned in, we've got another show on after this, 8 o'clock. We're going to speak to Superman on Debate, Sanjeev Man, who's going to be talking about the accessibility in Glasgow. And on Sunday, we've got the Sound Speakeasy, where we're going to take it back to the Roaring Twenties from a secret underground lair. And we're going to have Hunter McMustard, Becky Wallace, Dr. Normal, Wee D and Wraith, Dram for a Song and Kev Hill, playing live in your living room from 7 till 10 o'clock. And this is only possible thanks to the patrons. So thank you for supporting the show on YouTube, Patreon. Thank you to Joe, Kirsty, and of course John, who was with us earlier. And go and watch Dirty Water on the 1st of March on STV Player. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. The comments there. Remo says, so much love for the Dirty Water team and a couple of my favourites speaking on here just now. Hope you're all well. Greg says, look forward to watching Dirty Water when it airs. Hope you get a few series at least. And Vivian Taylor says, can't wait to see this. Very excited for the 1st of March. I'm buzzing for it. It's such a good lineup of artists, of actors and comedians that are part of the show. So I'm in, I'm full in. And I'm going to just put a link in the comments if you want to join us for our next show of the evening, which is Superman on Debate. So Sanjeev is a beat maker, a journalist, a promoter, an event organiser, and he's wanting to improve the accessibility of venues in Glasgow. So this little link I put in the comment there, if you click that link, I will be there at 8 o'clock. So we've got time for a cup of tea, and then click that link and you can wait there, and I'll see you at 8 o'clock for Sanjeev, aka Superman on Debate. So yeah, see you there at 8 o'clock with Sanjeev. Bye.
Yeah, love respect in every aspect of the man like Mark. I love what the man attack on the radio.